living for the people who are connected to you. And if you don't take seriously the weight of the people who are coming, you will live carelessly and self-centered, and you will mismanage the doors that God gives you. Preach, man of God.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening to everybody. Do me a favor. I'm so excited that we are coming together tonight for our financial empowerment. Do me a favor right now. Would you go ahead and share tonight's content? Go ahead and hit the share button. I see you coming on. Go ahead and hit the share button. Go ahead and tag some people. As Bishop would say, become a digital evangelist. I'm so excited because in our year, this is our year that's been declared of empowered living. And I'm so excited because one of the things that we're bringing back on tonight is our financial empowerment. That it's so apropos that it isn't that we just want you to live spiritually empowered, but St. Paul and Bishop cares about every facet of the human being and experience. And so on tonight, I'm so excited that we have our CFO, Brother Ron Baker, who's going to come on and who's going to lead tonight's discussion. And so without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Brother Ron Baker. Again, become that evangelist. Go ahead and share, and let's grow.
Thank you. So I'm certainly happy to be here and have this opportunity to come before you to talk about economic empowerment, which is something that's near and dear to me. And the first thing I like to do is just thank you for making time to want to know some things that you may not have the presence of mind to be clear about, and that you are just interested. So I am proud to know that there are people interested in reshaping their financial view on things and where the opportunities are and what we can do to be better. So as Reverend Ralston mentioned, this is more than just about the numbers. I firmly believe that at the end of the day, this is bigger than the numbers, but I will say it's all connected. How we live, how we give, how we use our treasures. So we'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. But again, this is beyond tithing. This is beyond offerings. This is about an extravagant lifestyle when it comes to making sure we understand how we can do some things better. In addition, I'd just say to you that this is bigger than literacy. It's not about just financial literacy. It's not about financial education. This is more about financial capacity. Everybody has the opportunity to grow and develop. So what we want to do is make sure we maximize every opportunity when it comes to knowing how financial markets work. And from week to week, we have some really, really hot topics that we're looking to focus on. Again, this is beyond just the treasure. We want to talk about your time and your talent and how those three things together give you that holistic look around what God expects from us. So again, we're going to move beyond the whole literacy discussion or education, as well as capacity. And we want to talk about some things that should be near and dear to you as we, readjust to the landscape. So tonight, I just wanted to give you a basic overview of our approach. We're going to do a 12-month run at this and do some very interesting things along the way. I'd mentioned to you the next time we gather, the focus will be on investing. We want to make sure people are clear and that those opportunities aren't missed opportunities for us. When they come along, we pay close attention to those. So the next time we gather, we'll be focusing on investing. After that, we'll do sort of a deep dive into real estate, as deep as you can go, for 20 to 30 minutes. But there's some real estate opportunities that are right at your beck and call, and we want to make sure you understand how those things can work out. In addition, we have some time we're going to spend on the stock market, Not trying to immerse you in the gory details, but there's some key opportunities that we want to talk about, be aware of, and walk our way through those. In addition, we're going to spend some time talking about entrepreneurship. I saw a statistic the other day that said post-pandemic, over 500,000 new businesses started. So there are passions inside of each one of us when we talk about what it is we want to do financially, how we want to balance our lives, how we want to make an impact, how we want to use our talents, how we want to use our treasures. So at the end of the day, the whole notion of entrepreneurship is closer than you might think. It's not nearly as difficult as you might think it to be. There's clearly something that each one of you are passionate about, and we want to turn that passion into some level of personal gain, personal profit, not in terms of a drive towards the dollar, but a drive towards holistic satisfaction, which is a big part of what St. Paul is really all about. After we spend some time on that, we're going to talk about the importance of collaboration. As you might imagine right now, when you talk about collaboration, collaboration is one of those things that allows companies to be effective. Right now, one of the best examples of collaboration would be Amazon. Most of what they provide to us on a day in and day out basis has nothing to do with what's warehoused at Amazon, but it has more to do with how they've been able to aggregate those relationships and do some profound things that will allow them to be effective. So at the end of the day, I think it's really important that collaborations come into play. The other interesting thing that we're going to try to do, well, not try, we already have them queued up. We're going to bring 2 millionaires to one of our meetings to talk about the journey that they travel, the opportunities that they embrace, and looking at ways they could, lean forward in terms of offering those opportunities to other people. So we have 2 millionaires that we have to the table. The other thing that we're going to talk about in detail is how do I become a part of a growth strategy at a ministry? Because this whole reason for doing what we do has everything to do with bringing out of us all those things that God has deposited into us. So we want to make sure we use those opportunities to be as sharp as we can be, to be as productive as we can be, to be as effective as we can be. And then around November, we're going to spend some time around the whole power of giving, the whole heart of generosity, how to move away from a heart of selfishness and talk about the power of generosity. And it's a pretty easy path, if you will, to make that transition. But sometimes there's this tendency to think that we don't have the financial capacity to do a lot of the things that are needed in this world right now. So we're going to spend some time walking through that, talking about that. It's opportune that it's happening during the month of November, which is Thanksgiving. And we're going to look at some ways to really emphasize the impact and power of giving. And then the last section we're going to spend some time on is to talk about what does Jesus say about wealth. There are all types of stories, there are all type of anecdotes that you've seen, but we're going to spend some quality time walking our way through a couple of things that will really resonate with many of you. So in the end, we'll be able to see how it all comes together. So again, I'm very excited about engaging with you all. I'm very excited about looking at all the opportunities that are out there. And I'm very excited about how we get to really spend some time talking through some financial aspects of our lives. And again, this won't be an accounting course. This won't be an analytical kind of thing. This will be a pragmatic, way that we could look at things that you might not have had the presence of mind to think about before. We're going to spend some time sort of walking through those things slowly. It'll be my intent to not insult anybody's intelligence when it comes to financial literacy, because there's some people that are be above and beyond the scale in terms of understanding how finance works. And then there are other people that have this keen sense of interest and desire to know more, to do more, and to engage in ways that they've not been able to engage before. So we're going to move through that slippery slope of literacy to education. And in the educational aspect, we're going to make really, really sure that we give you some nuggets that you can use that will allow you to apply those things on a real-time basis. So it's not like we'll just go through the mechanics and go through all the words and notions, but we'll spend some time talking about some applications of what it is you've discovered, what it is you've learned, what are some things that you're interested in. And as I get to a point of talking about literacy and education, if there are any questions that you might have, feel free to go ahead and pass those on to the facilitator who's aiding me in doing this particular session to make sure that we can sort of talk about those things real time and walk our way through those in an impactful way. And lastly, we're talking about financial capacity or financial capability. If you look at denominations around the world, there are denominations that have a strong sense of having a financial component to all the things they do. If the denomination exists, then they have a financial arm that looks at ways to empower their people. You name it, from our Islamic brothers and sisters to the Mormons to the Catholics to the Methodists, across the board, there are these financial vehicles that are intended to help liberate people. And this whole activity or this whole ministry is all about liberating people. We don't want people to spend a year walking through all of these subjects like the stock market or investing or entrepreneurship and end up the same way they started. We think there's some wonderful, wonderful opportunities on the horizon right now. And most importantly, the although you might think the biggest lesson that you'll glean are from the two millionaires that we're going to have, the biggest lesson that I believe that will help you in the long run is that last session where we talk about, what does Jesus have to say about wealth? And when I speak of wealth, I'm talking beyond the dollars and cents, because there are wealthy people that are not engaged people. So we're looking at ways to engage at levels that we've never engaged before, to do some things that we've never done before, and to see if some of the things we learn and some of the things we experience will result in the type of results, will result in type of outcomes that we have in mind. So, Brother Ray, have you received any questions that I might be able to field real quick? So maybe Brother Ray is on to something else right now. But again, I want to really emphasize the importance. Okay, I'm sorry, Brother Ray. Did you have
No. I was getting excited as you were talking about the various things this year that we're doing, and I was sending some texts out to some people, telling them to hop on. I think, sir, what you have done in explaining what this year will look like is amazing. If there are any questions that you have for Brother Ron, do me a favor. If you would put that in the chat of whatever platform you're watching. Brother Ron, while you were talking, I started thinking, sir, and then literally I went to Deuteronomy 8:18. And in the Good News version, which is the translation we read, it says, remember that it is the Lord your God, watch this, who gives you the power to become rich. He does this because he is faithful today. This is what blesses me, Brother Ron. He is faithful today to the covenant that he made to your ancestors. And while you were talking, literally what I heard is the reason that we have to tap into what you're talking about, Brother Ron, is that God has made a promise to people in our lineage who are now in glory. But the fact that he promised them things, he's telling us, and he's given this platform to remind us that wealth and finances is not a bad thing, but when properly stewarded, it gives us that opportunity not to fulfill just the things that we want in life. But here's what's so great about it. It allows us, Brother Ron, to be able to honor God, and he fulfill the commitment that he made to people ahead of us. I'm thinking about in that, Brother Ron, the fact that my grandmother on my mother's side, who's gone on to glory, and then her parents, who I didn't get the privilege to meet, covenants and prayers they made to God, that God said, I'm going to make sure it happens. Here we go. Even if I make sure it happened on the other side of glory for them. But here's our responsibility, which is why it's so apropos of the topic you've brought up today, Brother Ron, is it is not just handed to us, but financial responsibility is a discipline. Because if we steward these properly, then what it gives us the ability is to be able to hand something off to our future generations.
Agreed.
And so I want to encourage everybody. There's about 10 of us up here right now. I'll encourage you to please share tonight. I'm excited because literally what you've just heard is the blueprint to financial security and our arm of this empowered living. You cannot be empowered if you are bound to the bondage of credit, bound to the bondage of bills that are backed up, bound to bad investments. That if you're going to live that empowered, that free life, it requires this component of financial literacy, financial capability, as you heard Brother Ron talk about. And so, Brother Ron, thank you so much for this time tonight. I want to encourage everybody who's watching again, share it, go back and watch it, tag some people, let them know that the answer they've been praying for when it comes to finance. You don't got to rob Peter to pay Paul. You need a better discipline. And God has blessed us that this year through you, Brother Ron, and what you've mentioned is going to give us that opportunity to really release some things in the atmosphere that will not just bless us, but also bless the kingdom. And I'm excited. I know it's early. I can't wait till we get to the part where we get to listen to 2 millionaires tell their story. And I'll be honest with you, I can't wait till we get to the part I heard you talk about. I believe it was EFTs and investments and things of that nature. When the pandemic first hit, many people, Brother Ron, started running to Robinhood and grabbing stocks and doing other things. I'm one of them. But here's the piece that I didn't have that I'm talking about. And that is, after I get that, what do I do with it? So it's just not something that I say I have. How do I make my money work for me? And I'm so excited to have that. Again, if you have any questions for Brother Ron, we want you to do us a favor. You can drop it in the chat. You can drop it in the chat at any given point. We'll go back and make sure we have that, as well as we are excited about being able to introduce him, not just to you. Tell your friends, listen, this is an opportunity, and I'm going to stop talking. I'm sorry. This is a great opportunity for us as a community to be able to be empowered. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Brother Ron. I'm going to yield to you if there's anything else you want to say before we end this session tonight.
So my final comment would be similar to yours, Brother Ray. Mark chapter 12, verses 43 through 44. It reminds us that, we have to have a heart of generosity, and we leave the rest to God. So we're going to talk about how that works. We're going to talk about how that comes together. And lastly, I'll say it's not about just treasure. It's about your time and your talent. And God will use your time and your talent to bless the people in ways that will blow your mind. And believe it or not, the money will follow. The money will follow. So we'll walk through those details. They told me I had about 20 minutes to kick us off. So thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. And we look forward to the next session that we'll have during the month of April.
That's it. You've heard it. It's been an amazing evening. Brother Ron, thank you for joining us on the night. Go ahead, set your calendars now. The second Tuesday in April. We're coming back together, same time, same place. We're coming back as we continue to grow, as we continue to mature in Christ. Again, thank you so much for everyone who took the time to be up here. Listen, we can't wait to see you again. Have a great and a strong evening.